Good Tuesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on the Jerry and Jerry Show. It's an absolute pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille Network on a talk show that spotlights and features a Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, a man I'm proud to call a friend, the best boss I ever had, and Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe. Guys, this man, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe, is about to go to his 50th straight ACC basketball tournament this week. A tournament that's about to kick off in Washington, D.C. 50 straight ACC tournaments for Hootie Ratcliffe. My man, Hootie Ratcliffe, has booked a guest that needs very little introduction, and we will introduce you to Ralph Sampson here in a matter of minutes. Ralph currently parking in downtown Charlottesville, and if you've parked in downtown Charlottesville, you know that's an adventure in and of itself. Judah Wickhauer, if you can go to the studio camera and let's welcome the star of our program, a man who also needs no introduction. 50 straight ACC tournaments. This week, they're going to roll out the red carpet for you. I feel like you're going to have a buffet, a sports writer's buffet of what? Hot dogs, all the fried food you can eat, all the Gatorade you can drink.
I've been told by another colleague that for the first time in ACC tournament history that the ACC is not going to feed the media this year.
Get out of town.
That we have to get we'll get concession stand tickets to eat concession stand food.
That could be a perk, though. Potentially,
it could
right?
be, except we're working and we have to stand in line for to get food. That's not conducive to
covering a game.
Covering tournaments, no.
50 straight. Put that in perspective, Hootie.
It's hard for me to grasp. Actually, I never really thought about it until somebody brought it up a couple of weeks ago when I told them that my first one was in '74, and they
I think that came up on this show.
It may have been.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe, really. It doesn't seem like 50 years, but once people start asking me about various tournaments through the years, there's been 50 of them to try to remember it. It's kind of hard to sort out sometimes. There's some that stand out more than others, but it's an honor, and I'm humbled to have been around that long. But it's still it's a little mind-boggling to me that I've been kicking it around for that long a period of time.
Like a fine wine, this man gets better with age. Hootie Ratcliffe. Ralph Sampson, moments away, guys, parking his car right now in downtown Charlottesville, our studio on Market Street. Judah Wickhauer, our esteemed director and producer, is not only managing the audio, managing the visual, but he's about to welcome a 7'4" basketball superstar turned entrepreneur and businessman into the studio and whisk him on set here next to Hootie Ratcliffe on this program. Positive news, a dominant victory against the Ramblin' Wreck, a game where Virginia seemed like they could not miss a jump shot.
Yeah, I mean, it was their second must-win of the week, essentially. They had to beat Boston College on the road earlier, or maybe 10 days before, and then everybody knew they were going to lose at Duke, but they had to win that game against Georgia Tech at home. I figured they would because they had I think an 11-game winning streak over Tech coming in. Tech hadn't won here since 2008, and Virginia rarely loses on senior night. And I didn't think Reese Beekman would allow this team to lose in his finale at John Paul Jones Arena.
And what a finale it was for Mr. Beekman.
It truly was. I mean, if you look at his line score from that night and what he did on both ends of the floor, I mean, he was 8 of 10 shooting, 3 of 4 from the three-point line, hit 2 of 4 free throws. He had 6 rebounds, 21 points, which led the team, 9 assists, 1 turnover, 1 block shot, and 3 more steals in 35 minutes. And when it was all over, Tony Bennett made a point of giving him a curtain call and presenting him with a commemorative basketball for becoming Virginia's all-time steals leader, breaking a 40-year-old record that was held by Othell Wilson, one of Ralph's teammates. We'll ask Ralph about that when he gets in. But that was I mean, that was a remarkable feat. I don't know that it got nearly the plaudits that it deserves.
Unbelievable. Reese Beekman, the two-time Defensive Player of the Year, concludes his John Paul Jones career by tying his career high in point production for one game, 21 points. He was dominant. He was dominant on both sides of the floor. The 9-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, absolutely mind-blowing. Maybe the best individual game statistical performance for Reese Beekman in his last game at the John Paul Jones Arena, a storybook ending. Ralph Sampson walking into the studio now. Judah Wickower going to greet the Virginia basketball legend. Hootie, does Virginia basketball have a lock into the big dance, the NCAA tournament, or do they have to win one game? They got the double bye in the ACC tournament.
I think that they're in, but I can't guarantee that it's a lock. I don't know if they have to beat somebody in that first round, not first round, in the quarterfinals, because they get a double bye, to assure them getting a spot or not. You're being welcomed by our mascot.
Yeah, our mascot, Liza. Ralph is in the house. We'll go to the studio camera if you can there, Judah. We are live on air, Ralph. We got a chair for you right here. Your fans have got dozens of questions already for you.
I'm here.
This man needs absolutely no introduction. We're live across all social platforms with 16 states watching us right now on the Jerry and Jerry Show. We're going to spotlight this man's evolution from superstar on the hardwood to superstar in the boardroom. This man's the CEO and founder of the Sampson Group, which we're going to highlight in a matter of moments. Hootie Ratcliffe, you set up this interview. I'll pass the microphone over to you, my friend.
Well, I just want to thank Ralph for his time, because I know he had to drive down from D.C. this morning to get here.
And 29 was not good on 33 when I got in. I thought, okay, I tried to go the back way, but it didn't work.
Nothing ever works going back from D.C.
It was great until I got to 33, so Charlottesville traffic is getting rough.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
The population is increasing. Everyone seems to have two cars, Ralph, and it's congested on every street.
Yes, it's different. It's different when we were here in 79, 83, and there was not much traffic, only buses on the campus, so that's about it. But now it's a bigger city, and it's fun, but it's growing rapidly, as we all know.
Yeah, and with that comes problems, and
traffic
is one of them.
It is that.
So why don't we highlight, what's going on? I want to chat the Sampson Group. I want to talk basketball here. I want to talk Ralph Sampson Mania, Ralph Sampson Tap House, your steak in the white spot. I mean, my man, you are crushing it from a business standpoint here. How's life right now?
I don't know about crushing it, but we are actively moving a little bit, and it's fun. The white spot, which a bunch of us got together, and some locals as well, and some guys that are well known in the city said, you can't let that go. And we just found out a couple of weeks ago, I guess, the Little John is coming back too, so it's good to see some staples that were here when I was here still exist. And so we have that, and we have the Tap House, which is now 2 years old, which is kind of crazy to see how 2 years are going past. Yeah. 2 years in April, so we'll have our anniversary coming up, middle of April, and that's going to be fun. It's going well. You have your ups and downs, especially in this world we live in with restaurant business and hospitality, and people that want to work, people that don't want to work, people that come and go. But it's been really, really fun to have the fans come in and watch the games or concerts or talk basketball, and I've enjoyed it tremendously and look forward to more to come. So we have some sister restaurants as well, which is Matchbox and the Ridley. So that's been fun. I can't complain with that, and I want to continue to have the fans come in and do some good things.
Absolutely fantastic.
Fun things.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Sampson Group, which just came to life recently. I know you were on Wall Street recently. We'll talk about that too. But in the press release, it's the Sampson Group is committed to fostering innovation across various sectors, including hospitality, sports, digital media, and technology. Our mission is to catalyze opportunities, cultivating an ecosystem where unique ideas flourish.
Yes.
Let's talk about what's your mission? What are you guys trying to do?
Well, created stems really from my mom and our family farm, and was doing things in the business world, restaurants to basketball, whatever. So the Sampson Group just kind of put them all together into one so we can manage it better. My sisters have their companies as well. My sister Joyce has Just One. It's a scholarship program for girls in the state of Virginia that's growing rapidly. My other sister has salon and academy business in Harrisonburg and throughout the country, basically, and growing tremendously. So I think, let me help manage those companies also and build more. So we had that mission with sports because we're in the sports world, and obviously we've always been in the sports world some capacity. We have camps in Harrisonburg, some down in Richmond and New Henrico County. We're going to do a business and sports thing in September that hopefully will help the NIL situation here in UVA, which we can talk about a little bit more. So it's been fun to do that, and when, with your help, launched it, whatever, it's been a frenzy for the last 2.5 weeks because of just kind of putting it out there with interviews, ESPN. We were on Wall Street a month ago or 2 months ago or so with another company that we're working with, and we couldn't announce anything then, but we went to see kind of what's going on, and now we're working in Wall Street to some capacity. In June, we'll be back up there and doing some things. So it's been fun. It's been hectic, but I've been enjoying it because it's fast-paced, and I don't like to sit down and do nothing. I like to get up and hit the ground running. But we're having fun, and we got great things to come.
Well, I know you've reached the pinnacle of everything in basketball that anybody can ever imagine, but what's it like being a businessman? And none of us have ever been on Wall Street.
I know.
Probably
I'll take you next time I go.
probably nobody in our audience has ever been to the Wall Street. What was that moment like for you?
Well, I went when I was in the NBA one time, and it was different back then because you go on Wall Street and they ring the bell afterwards. But at that point in time, it was probably 1,000 people on the floor. And it was paper everywhere. I mean, just literally, as you take the ticket, you throw it on the ground, you go get another one. And now there's maybe 500 people there, and it's totally automated. So you're watching the screens, whatever. But it was pretty cool to watch and see how really the economy in the world works, and it's all through Wall Street. So we had a company there that entertained us called the Counter Group, which was great. They take a company to public, and so we had some football players there as well, and they was kind of announcing what they were doing. But the coolest thing was just the mix and mingle on the floor at the stock exchange, where you get there and you kind of see the numbers, and you really don't understand it until this guy explained it to me and you see the ticker tape. But it's fun, it's exciting, it's New York City, which I love to go to all the time. I don't know if I could live there, but I could go there and hang out and enjoy the restaurant world, but also the people there are different, but it's pretty fun. So it's a big difference between back then and today, and it's also interesting to see how it works.
Awesome.
This man's got multiple newspapers watching him here, multiple TV stations watching Ralph Sampson. If you got a question, and I see about a dozen of them already, put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. The Sampson Group, your namesake business here. What's the vision?
Yeah, it's just like Jerry said. I mean, I had other companies, but I never called it Sampson. I just didn't want to be, that name out there. It's basketball and it's Winter Circle this or Stick 5-0 this or this and that. I wanted different things. And then my mother said, well, with my dad passing almost it'll be 2 years in November, and his legacy and his just drive for us and my sisters and family, and really didn't understand how special he was until he passed. We had about 3,000 people at his service. And the significance of just him and my mom and that legacy I want to leave and evolve the Sampson Group. And really it's about giving back, helping people, motivating people, and creating business opportunities for people that want to be successful. So we have an incubator that we're building in Northern Virginia as well. Here in Charlottesville, we'll do some things as well. But we want to take a company from the beginning to the stage if it can go public, but we want to guide them through not just invest money, but we're going to take them through that process, because you can be successful if you have that grind. And people that don't have that grind, we just don't want to deal with until they're ready to grind it out. As you guys know, you put this show on as well, and Jerry comes from paper, newspaper, whatever to this. It's changed, right?
Absolutely.
Things change dramatically, so you have to kind of live with the times and make it work, and you guys are doing that as well.
Well, I was so impressed with the branding and the positioning of the Sampson Group online. It looks super legit, super professional. We wish you so much success what you've given to the Central Virginia and Charlottesville, Shenandoah Valley, and Harrisonburg communities have been well documented. I love to try to put that in perspective. We call it Ralph Sampson Mania, from Harrisonburg High School to the University of Virginia. How about the flip book, Ralph? You're a superstar at Harrisonburg and Shenandoah Valley and at Harrisonburg High. Talk to us about what it was like being what are you, 6'7", 6'9" as a freshman in high school?
6'7", yeah.
6'7", and then your basketball career as it progresses through high school and having every coach in America recruiting you. Give us what you remember.
Well, I mean, it evolved, with Coach Holland passing, a little over a year ago, and actually a year ago, the last couple weeks, and then Lefty Drizel passing, Coach Paul, Old Dominion, Webb passing as well, and then the Virginia Tech coach passing. So guys that recruited me, especially Lefty, that was there the day I announced I was going to Virginia. He had John Lucas and himself outside the Harrisonburg High School arena saying, "Don't go to Virginia, don't go to Virginia, come to Maryland." And he offered my high school coach a job, this and other. So, and then I had the chance to coach with Lefty at JMU, and then I saw him when he entered the Hall of Fame as well. So it has evolved full circle for me, and that's what the Sampson Group has done as well, where now I want to leave a more impactful legacy with my kids, and really understand what life's about and leave that footprint. We've done it in high school in Harrisonburg at 6'7", as you said, in the 9th grade to 7 foot, 7'1" out of high school to 7'3" in college, 7'4", doing a couple inches there, to UVA basketball, to many Hall of Fames. But all that means something. My mother has all my awards, obviously. But really, what does that mean? And to me, it's about the brand, my father, my mother, my sister's family. We have a family farm that I'm developing as well with some history there. And UVA is helping me with the the architectural school, with the people there. So for me, it's fun. I get up every morning energized and excited to just make an impact on anything I do. And that's been the lessons I've learned from my parents.
I know your parents had a huge impact on you, and
absolutely.
I was over there that day you announced that you were coming to Virginia as well, and I was up in the grandstand,
up in the arena,
up in the arena, and I know your mom Sarah came out with you, and that was an incredible moment for you, I'm sure.
It was fun. To go back there, it was kind of hectic. Had gone different places. I was in, as you know, remember the '79 Pan American Games, and first high school player to ever do that. And Isaiah Thomas joined me at that point in time. But announcing that, I came to the arena and really was still confused about where I was going. And I was down to 4 schools: Virginia, Carolina, Duke, Virginia, Carolina, Kentucky, Virginia Tech. My best visit was Kentucky.
Wow. Why?
They had, Joby Hall, Leonard Hamilton is still a great friend, and just at that point in time, they had the Wildcat Lodge, and you had everything you needed in the Wildcat Lodge: your own room, your own bed. Obviously, next year they changed that rule because you had to have a roommate, but it was fun there, just because of the structure of the basketball that they had. They had some great history and some good players. We would have brought in probably 6 to 7 high school All-Americans at that point in time. From Derek Horde, Derek Wittenberg, Derek Horde, Derek Minifield, Charlie Hurt. They had a cast of characters, right? Sam Bowie would have been on that same team, so it would have been kind of crazy to have that and have been 7-footers in high school. College, just like they had with Roby and Phillips back in the day. So it would have been fun there, but it was, one, too far from home, and academically it wasn't UVA, and my parents couldn't see me play, every game like they could when I come to this. So it came down to those factors. But when I got to the high school arena, I'm like, okay, where I'm going. I said, and my mom like, you got to make that announcement today. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going. She's like, you're going to make that today. So she kind of coaxed me to do that. And then, as you recall, Jerry, I said, I think I'm going to Virginia. And my mom said, no, you don't think that's where you're going. So
I remember Bill Millsap
almost
fell out of the stands when you said
that. And so it was fun to see and watch and hear, and the arena was full of people. And Coach Brady and I, we had gone into the office and called the other coaches respectfully and said, well, he's not going to Tech, he's not going to North Carolina, he's not going to Kentucky, but he's going to Virginia. And I think he called Coach Howland, and the rest is history after that.
We got a question right here from outside Baltimore, Maryland. Give us your best Terry Holland story.
Oh, Lord.
He's got a lot of them.
From recruiting to playing for him to life after college, and I mean there's many questions and many stories at each phase of life, right? So coming into UVA, just him, he'll always say that his car knew, and it wasn't any GPS back in the day, right? So his car knew he could put it on autopilot basically and get from wherever he was to Harrisonburg really often. So they picked me up in my official visit. Now I had come to UVA, I won 2 state titles in University Hall. I've been on campus a number of times just because of the travel back and forth. My cousins played in high school, and we would come to games at University Hall years before that. So if you remember, on 29, there was only one restaurant, which was called the Campbell something on the right-hand side where the Caboodle was there. That was the only hamburger. That was the only thing that was out there. And you came over at 33. So Charlotte was very desolate at that point in time. So I remember all that, the Shoney's, the McDonald's and Bergs Road. So remember all those days. So those stories evolved as well. But Coach Holland, and knowing that I'm coming to UVA, but also my official visit there, you got to have the official visit. We got to get you the visit. I said, I already been there. I already know what it's about. So going to the classroom, but the official visit, ironically, was shortened because it was the weekend of my mother's birthday. I'll never forget it. It's when we took the helicopter ride with Hicks and that crew that put Ralph's house on top of the building, which now has significant meaning to me. Before, it's like, okay, what does that really mean? So I can play off that a little bit, especially with the restaurant. But it was significant coming to that visit in the helicopter ride because it was there. But they picked me up in a van and had some, what we call it, hot chocolate and Dunkin' Donuts with Coach Page and Coach Holland. Drove me over to Charlottesville, but I didn't take my full visit for 48 hours because I had to get back from my mother's birthday. But significantly, on that same day, 40 years later, is when they had the parade in Scott Stadium for the national title championship parade that they did. It was the same, it was 40 years later than that. So that had significant meaning for me because it's the weekend of my official visit at UVA.
One of the guys that painted Ralph's house on top of the building, Bobby Edwards, just recently passed. I went to his memorial service a few weeks ago at Farmington, and that was one of the topics of conversation, and certainly we miss him. He was a great guy.
He's a great guy, and his wife, whatever, I know him pretty well, the Burkhead. So we created a coffee brand now, in which no one knows this, but you guys know, but called Ralph's House, and we're going to have some significant legends.
Breaking news.
That is breaking news. Legends brand. It's coming out to be a subscription. We'll hopefully get it in April.
Ralph's House.
Ralph's House Coffee.
That's awesome.
It'll have we have one with Bobby Edwards and Tom Hicks on it, and
really?
telling the story. And then we got Coach Holland. So we'll have some legend series every year with not only myself but also other sports people from UVA. And then we'll sell it online and Kroger's, and I think we got Whole Foods or something like that. But anyway, we're working on that project as well. But just because it's a significant meaning, and then we'll also give back to scholarships as well. That's
fantastic. Questions are coming in so fast, fellas. This is from Lisa Costello, who's right here on Cherry Avenue in Charlottesville. She says she was a student at Charlottesville High School in 1982 to 1985 while Ralph was at the University of Virginia. We saw him and all the UVA basketball team were bigger than life. It is still difficult to believe I might be able to see him in person around town. What a superstar, she says. She says you taught everyone a lesson that was a student in high school to finish college because you had offers to go pro, but finishing school was important to you. So she's giving you some props right here. This question's coming in from Philip Dow. He says, what was the most memorable basketball game you played at UVA and why? Which game still sticks with you?
Well, there were some classic games, but the first one sticks out because, I was excited to play my first game in college, just trying to get my feet wet as far as the college game as well, my freshman year. You come in as a freshman, I was not even 200 pounds, soaking wet basically, and I'm like, okay, how am I going to do? I'm going to do well. I'm going to be able to perform. But I had some great teammates in Lamp, Raker, Gates, Jones, Lewis Collins, Craig Robinson, Darren Cross at that point in time. We had some great teammates. So we did things, as I recall, we did things together. And I think Coach Allen started some of these things. I don't know in college history, but I know at UVA. If you remember the Mr. Burkhead and that crew, we had a significant team picnic on the front lawn of their house every year. So Mr. Burkhead, Frank Burkhead, our great friends, his wife, obviously, and the Burkheads has passed away. But that was meaningful for me then, and it's still meaningful now that I can remember that, because I think every player got to relax and to enjoy at least the camaraderie with not only the teammates, but some of the people that are significant in your life for history. So that was meaningful, still is today. And then obviously the Louisville games. Roddy McCray still called me because we were the first and the third pick. And when UVA went down there and beat Louisville, they said, "Damn, we still can't beat Virginia." 40 years later, I'm like, "Okay, right, that's the way it goes." But between those games, the Ohio State games are significant. The Final Four in Philadelphia, which we didn't know if he was going to play or not because Reagan got shot. Indiana wins. Carolina, Al Wood, significant. He had a great game. And I still talk to Al. He says, "I just said you got me, but as I got a picture, I'm trying to block his shot. He's going under the basket." He said, "I was scared of you, but I made the basket anyway." So there's a lot of meaning after the fact with camaraderie with guys that you played with or played against, that you can tell those stories, and some of them are probably a little bit embellished, but that's the way it works.
That's
right?
the way it works.
That's what makes it fun. But those are the fun things. And then, obviously graduating on the lawn, as the question was in there, I got a chance. I could have came out in my freshman year, and I tell people all the time, we won an NIT in New York, and not just winning the game, but Lee Raker was special then because, we won, and he took a baseball bat. I tell him all the time, and we hit some bases in the floors of the lobby of the hotel a little bit, as Rakers may do. But that was fun because the players. But think about this and the history of it. And I tell people all the time, if I'd have came out, Kevin McHale wouldn't have gone to Boston. I'd have came out then with our back coming to my parents' house, offered me $1 million then. Next year, I stayed again, went to the Final Four. So Worthy wouldn't have gone to the Lakers, and Isaiah Thomas wouldn't have gone to the Detroit Pistons.
Unbelievable.
So it changed.
Pistons probably wouldn't have been two-time national or NBA champions.
No.
Had Isaiah not gone to Detroit.
It'd have been totally different, more than likely. It may got traded, but with that, but then I look at that. Okay, great. I didn't do too bad academically. I didn't do too bad athletically. And there's only 2 3-time college player of the years, me and Bill Walton, and hopefully this Evie kid out of Purdue gets it, and he'll be one of two times. So, it was fun, and so I don't have any regrets whatsoever.
Can you give us the Red Auerbach story? He offered you $1 million?
Yeah, the story was that he he had a suitcase with $1 million in it. I don't know if that was
That's what it looked
true or
like.
not.
I don't know. So there's a picture of him and Mr. Fitzgerald that owned the Celtics came in. They came to the front door. We let them in. They wanted to talk to us about coming out. And it's funny because no Cedric Maxwell played with him in Houston. So he had the podcast. We were on his show a couple of years ago, and he said, "Well, Red came to me and Larry and said, 'Would you come down and help us coach Ralph Sampson to come in, into the league?' And both of them said, 'No, we don't want to take that trip, whatever, but we'll call him.' So they called before during the process, and then Red and Mr. Fitzgerald came, knocked on the door, and they had a briefcase with $1 million in it. Supposedly, now I couldn't see the rest of it, but the tops had $100 bills on it. But I don't know if underneath didn't have. Who knows, right? So you can come play for the mighty Boston Celtics, and we'll give you this $1 million, and you'll play in Boston and be great. So just wasn't ready. I was only, like I said, 200 pounds. I wasn't physically ready for Robert Parrish and the East brutal beatdown in the league at that point in time. And I just was having fun in college, and I wanted to continue my education.
Questions are coming in so fast. Who do you want to go? Should I go viewer listener?
One thing you may have, and you had so many highlights in college. One of them was the showdown with Patrick Ewing and the game of the century, cover of Sports Illustrated, 2 covers for Sports Illustrated just for that one game. I saw an interview with Patrick, I guess when you went into the Hall of Fame, and he said he went out on the court, lined up against you, and he said, I looked up, and I kept looking up. I kept looking up, and said, my God, this man is huge.
Yeah,
what was that game like for you?
You know, it was a fun game. I talk
you
about.
weren't 100%. You were.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was still. Yeah, I wasn't quite 100%. I had the flu, but we had played, as you know, a couple weeks before that. We had played Carolina, Duke. We had played all the top teams in the country almost within 10, 15 day span. So we were on a big time roll, and 3 or 4 days before the game, we had all the Sports Illustrated. We had the press. It was crazy up until that game, and then the day before it snowed.
Yeah.
If you remember that. So a 2-hour drive was a 5-hour drive, whatever, to Cap Center, but we got there. And so it was fun to watch and play. But the biggest significant thing out of that, after you look back, is Othell Rickey. I talked to Michael Jackson a little bit, where he was really scared of Othell and Rickey. Because they pressure the ball so much. Georgetown played great defense, but Othell was pretty tough.
He was nasty.
Yeah, he was nasty. And Rickey was really fast.
Yeah.
So all I knew was that if I could control the middle, I'd get the ball to them. And then Rick Carlisle could shoot and play, and he was tough too. And so we could. I figured we could win, but I don't know how effective we would be, until we got to the game. So it was fun. I had played in the Cap Center in high school against Sam Boyd with the All-Star game. So that was fun, but it was a great place to play because you really couldn't see the stands because they had black in the stand out with the lights. Mm-hmm. So for me, with the atmosphere in the Cap Center was amazing to play in. And that game with Georgetown was great to watch, again, after I watched it after the fact, but also play. And then a guy named Senator Russ Potts, I think, helped put that game on. He's passed on now, but we used to talk about all the time. I said, and so he gave me all the things he had to do to get that game on television. The schools got money, and it was on network TV. It was like the game of the century, decade, what it was, like Kareem and Elvin Hayes. So they tried to do the same thing like that. So it was fun. And then Patrick and I had a chance to talk, afterwards sometimes here and there in Hall of Fame, or when the UVA played Georgetown a couple of years ago. We talked in a preseason game, and it's the first time I played against somebody that tall as well and that strong. But I knew I was probably a little bit more savvy than him in college at that point in time, but they played and dominated, a different way. But we had a really good team. They had a really good team. And, as you look back memory-wise, it's really good to watch that game again and really figure out where you were at that point in time. And then you also hear fans say, I was at that game. And then coming to the restaurant, there are pictures on the back wall where people say, oh, I was at that game. So those stories are definitely good to hear. Again, wherever they were here, some of them are real, some of them more embellished, but it's the fans watching, and it's a good perspective for me to understand and enjoy their stories.
You'll love this one here. Hootie said last week that you were bigger than the Beatles when you were on the Browns. I talked about that all week long. We literally had people respond, who are the Beatles? And then I responded like this to them, Ralph Sampson was Taylor Swift in Charlottesville. And then people were like, I get it.
She's a little prettier than me, so she good.
Put Ralph Sampson Mania in perspective. You couldn't go to class. You had to move off the lawn. Put that in perspective.
Yeah, after the first year and then the second year, classes were fun because the teachers, I remember a lady named Carol Jablonski, a professor, and that's one of the reasons I majored in communications, because I was kind of a shy guy coming out of high school and really didn't know how to do interviews, and she helped me along. She was a tall lady, and so I remember the whole communication department. And then Dr. Bice, which everybody that went to UVA knows Dr. Bice, psych and Gilmore Hall, remember the room and everything. So, if I was missing from class, which I didn't miss too many, and the mistake I made was 7 foot, you can't sit in a desk or a chair, and you have this big auditorium. If you put your feet over 2 chairs, he's not here. So I learned those techniques. I learned those techniques really on real quickly. We go in the big class, sit in the back row. Don't sit in the front, sit in the back in the corner somewhere they can't see you. But the experiences from that time, from classes to professors to other students on the buses, going to class, and I tell people all the time, the camaraderie with University Hall, and I don't think the athletes get that feel today that we had at University Hall, because every sport was in University Hall. Mm-hmm. Locker rooms, weight rooms, everything was there, and John Gamble and Bill Dunn, really put me together, physically. Coach Dunn got rest in the past, but John, I've talked to recently, and we recall some things like that. He put together, Terry Kirby was in town the other day, so we understand the John Gamble philosophy. But being able to be physically put together, mentally put together, socially put together at University Hall. And I think today's world, we don't have that same camaraderie with athletes. The basketball has their own little world. Football has their own little world, which is okay. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that we commune together, worked out together. Some of the athletes and football, baseball players I know, even when I played here at UVA, I know now still afterwards, and the stories are tremendously wild because we can look back and see what we did and what we didn't do and how much fun we had, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a big difference, I think, in today's world, but just the experience at UVA at that point in time with those games and just walking the grounds. I stayed on the lawn my senior year, and they moved me off just because some girl had gotten accosted behind me, and my room was number 9. We changed it to number 6. In my room was 6, we changed it to 9, and we changed the other girl's number to 6, vice versa, right? And she got knocked on the door every football game, got knocked on the door and couldn't sleep, got knocked on at night. And the greatest part about it, Coach Odom, that was assistant coach many years later, sit me down, we had a long conversation when they were at South Carolina, and said, you don't really know what went on because we didn't tell you. So all the mail that came in, good or bad, the secretary would sign the autographs and send them out because they didn't want me to have to worry about all that. So you learn a lot after the fact, but a lot of stuff went on in between that I didn't know, but I was very well protected, but also was able to enjoy my college time.
Questions are coming in so fast here. I'm going to try to get to as many as possible here. Wesley Kincello is watching. He went to Waynesboro High School. And
we beat them all the time. We never lost.
I knew you were going to say that. Wesley says this, Ralph, I would love to hear who you remember as being the toughest competition you played in the Shenandoah Valley back in the day during your high school days at Harrisonburg High School.
Well, it's funny because our biggest rivalry was Robert E. Lee, and now Stanton High School. But Mike Madden and that crew, we had good games, and the most memorable one was they had beat us, and we had beaten them in the regular season. And Jerry, recall, we played at University Hall, mm-hmm. and so the coaches said, "Oh, let's flip a coin." I mean, somebody said, "Let's flip a coin and see who gets to be the top seed." And the coach said, "No, let's play a game." So we probably had 10,000 people in that game at University Hall, and it was fun. We ended up winning the game and going to win the state title, but that was fun. Waynesboro had the Little Giants. They had some great players as well, and we had a battle every game we played in, especially in the Valley League. And I recall even in the regional, they had a guy named Mike Ice from Winchester, Virginia, that was like 6'7", 6'8", and they was going to kill us. We had played them in the regular season and beat them. We go to Winchester, we win the game, and Coach Berge had to take us from the game to the bus, from the locker room to the bus. And Coach Berge had these rules. We would leave the locker room cleaner or better than it was when we got there. That one we just got our stuff and left because they tried to rock the bus and turn it over because we had beat them.
Geez.
So, the Valley League was tough. It was fun. It's not like that today, and I wish they would go back to that because you could go and you could play within certain parts of the Valley, but we also played against those guys in the summer, with pickup basketball, so we got to talk noise a little bit. And so I had some great friends in Stanton and Waynesboro and Fishersville and Charlottesville and Winchester that we played basketball pretty much every day in the summertime. So Valley League was great, and hopefully we'll get some of that good basketball back in those areas as well. But we had a lot of fun.
Kevin Higgins, watching in Greenwood, he says, Ralph, what was it like to see Ralph's house on the top of U-Haul?
Again, I know what it means now, but at that point in time, the first thing I had to do was come from Harrisonburg in that van and come to the University Hall parking lot and get in a helicopter that I've never been in before. Like, okay, my mom like, I'm not going up there. I'm not gonna so you get up there and then you lean over and like, okay, it leans on, like, okay, will you fall out? So I was scared of that first and foremost, and didn't understand the significance of why it was done. But you see that, okay, great, can we get down and get on the ground again first? So then you're like, okay, who did that? Right? Then you find out how it happened. Nobody knew at that point in time, right? Nobody said anything because Hicks didn't want to get in trouble. But after now, a number of years, you understand how special that was. It was special then, but I was young. I was young and trying to figure it out. Why do I have to come over here? It's my mom's birthday. I wanted to celebrate her birthday. But the experience there with coming and that event and then going to class, physically going to class with some players really helped me make the decision to come to UVA.
Can you imagine you playing college basketball now with all the NIL opportunities? I mean, Ralph.
I wish.
I know. You'd have $5-10 million just from NIL opportunities of playing college hoops.
I was at an event last year with the Markel Group, which is a very large company in the state of Virginia. Mr. Markel and family got invited through UVA, and Mr. Markel and Governor Youngkin was there. And I didn't know he was recruited by Coach Holland to play. He said he wasn't that good, but he got recruited, I guess, somewhere in the pipeline.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he made some announcement about that there, but we had a forum. We had Coach Bennett, we had Richmond, Virginia Tech, and Old Dominion coaches there, and VCU coaches. And it was moderated, and they asked a question about NIL. Me and Corey Alexander were sitting beside each other, and Governor Youngkin said, "Well, Ralph, if you were playing today, NIL would be very special. You might be a $100 million player." I'm like, "Okay." And then Corey says, "Reparation, can we go back and get a little bit of that money?" But NIL is crazy. I always said, even when I was in college or afterwards in an NBA and retired, NCAA says, which I think is now going to change a lot, it says student athlete. And I'm a student before I'm an athlete, and that's what I always believed in. So equate me to a student. I could get recruited by a recruiter in my junior year to get a job. You pay for your scholarship, but at that point in time, even maybe today, the scholarship's only guaranteed for 1 year. So the great Lefty Driesell, when I coached with him, he said, "Okay, kid, you're not going to play for me, so let me help you find another place to play." So he kind of run him off, right? You're not going to play, I better go somewhere else. So he transfer. But I said, can we equal the playing field by letting every player, the 800 athletes, 900 athletes at UVA, get minimum wage for so many hours a week, right? So a year. So let's say they can get $10,000 to $15,000 a year because I'm a normal student and I can go get that. I know we're getting money for scholarships and other, but the schools are making millions of dollars, with that. I mean, I don't know if you equated, I think it was you or Jerry or somebody said, okay, Ralph was there, and how many, was it the Holly Farms Turkey Award? For every game you got something, it was like thousands, I don't know what it was, but how many times did I win that? How much did they win from the Georgetown game? And all the other stuff around that, they made quite a bit of money, I'm
absolutely.
sure, there from that standpoint. But you should be able to equate that to giving that. And I think and I feel sorry for the kids that don't get NIL money, but I think they should get something because it's even across the playing field, so no kid is getting, if a kid can get, $100,000, okay, I get that because it may be special, but this kid over here should get something because they're part of the fabric of the school, and you just even up. And so I got a whole thing on NIL, but I think UVA is, it's going to calm down at some point. Don't know when, but when you got the Darden School, you got the law school, you got all these schools that's very powerful on this campus. Why can't I take that and use that as my recruiting tool? It's okay, kid, I'm going to give you this amount of money. It says $40,000, and then I'm going to create that. So you got tax, you got all this, and put them in a program where when they finish, because guess what, they're all not going to make it to a professional. They're doing their job. They're the roadmap till you get out to have a little bit of money, an investment, and have a job. And I think that should be the funnel. That should happen because not a lot of these kids are going to go play pro. But they can get a job. They got to get a job at some point, right?
That's a great idea.
That's my idea with NIL.
I like that.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
You like college basketball today? You get the transfer portal. You got NIL. How do you feel about it?
It's changing the game. The NBA has changed the game as well. And NBA, you got Jaylen Brown from Boston making $63 million a year. That's unheard of, right?
It's the top contract ever.
Right,
Yeah.
top contract ever. our salary and payroll in the Houston Rockets was only like $20 million. That's coaches' pay, the front office pay, and players' pay.
Jeez.
Right. So he makes more, 3 times more, in 1 year than they made in 1 year. So it's changed dramatically, but that's because the game was worldwide. I get that. So I don't like and I tell, me and Bill Walton talk about all the time, the art of the game is taken away because if I can just come down and shoot a 3-pointer from half court, is that really exciting? Not really.
No.
So defense is one, and the art of the game is taken away. So it's kind of not fun to watch. But college basketball is fun to watch. But there's no teams that are dominant anymore, like they should be. And I tell people all the time, UVA and Tony Bennett, to me, is the best college basketball coach in the country.
Why do you say that?
Some people don't like his offensive system. Some people don't like his defensive system. Mm-hmm. And when Malcolm Brogdon was here, and I'm on the board to create the Player of the Year, I had him in Houston. We talked for a number of hours. And I don't like Tony's system. I want to be more freer to score more. And I said, well, you'll be fine. You'll get drafted somewhere. So he thought he was going to be drafted higher than he was, but he was drafted by Milwaukee, and Jason Kidd was the coach. Perfect fit for him because he learned from one of the best guards that ever played in the NBA. I saw him in L.A. when I was living there, and we talked. He said, how's it going? Okay, it's going good, whatever. I want to score more. But in the next 3 years, he had his second contract up, and he's got like almost $90 million.
Mm-hmm.
Big time contract.
So he didn't do too bad.
Right.
No, not at all.
100 didn't do too bad. So if you understand his defensive principles and you can score in this offensive format, you can be really good in the NBA. And that's what players have to understand. But it's not just his style of play, but I got to know him and his family extremely well during the Final Four run. And ain't nothing like him, family-wise, dad, wife, kids, himself. He's the best out there to me. And I've always preached this, Jerry, you heard me say before, if you don't give him a lifetime contract, something's wrong.
Amen.
They should give him a lifetime contract so he know he's set.
Yeah.
And he's not coaching, I told you this way, he's not coaching for money. I mean, he's made money.
Yeah.
So he don't need it. I mean, he wants to make more, I'm sure, but he doesn't need to. He would go overseas somewhere and just coach in a village somewhere and be happy. Mm-hmm. But if you lose him, you're not going to get anybody like him ever again.
That's what, he's coming under some fire this season from some of the fans, and we've had that as a topic of conversation. I said, be careful what you wish for, because if you run him off, remember the Pete Gillen and the Dave Lato years? That's what's 11 years with 2 postseason trips. Maybe they were scoring 90 points a game, but
you ain't win no titles.
No titles.
You ain't got consistent wins every year. I mean,
hardly won an ACC tournament.
Hardly.
Yeah. 3rd-tier tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the CBI?
There was one CBI in there.
Yeah.
A lot of NITs.
A lot of
NITs. But, I mean, the culture, think about it, the culture with Lato, nothing against those guys, but the arena's packed. Everybody, Tony gets more cheers than the players, right?
Yes,
he's well respected. You're not going to find anybody like that. He's a Krzyzewski-style coach. And Krzyzewski got on some fire when he first got to Duke, because we beat him by 42, and he still hates us. So that's why he tried Virginia play. He still hates us from that time. But Tony is the best coach in college basketball. There's some Selfs and other coaches out there that are really good. I know a little bit. I don't know like Tony, but again, I think they do him an injustice by not giving him a lifetime contract personally.
This question's come for Ralph from Charlotte, North Carolina. Jennifer's watching the program. She says, guys, I love the show. We watch the Jerry and Jerry show every week. For Ralph, please ask him this 3-part question. Who's the best NBA player he's ever played with or against? Who's the best college player he's ever played with or against? And the best UVA player?
I got 2 answers to that. Okay. So everybody said, how do you think, whatever. So my mentality was, I was the best in the NBA when I played mentally. I was the best player to play with, and I was the best player to play against.
I love it.
Because I had to play that in my mind.
Absolutely.
If I didn't think that or feel that or work out to that, you remember the days with Bill Dunn and John Gamble, and I think here's the difference between when we played or we thought about it and the kids today. And I train kids all the time. So my mentality in that weight room with John Gamble was, this should be harder than playing. So when you lift a 90-pound dumbbell curls, you act like you in the game. Mm-hmm. You feel like you in the game. When you walk in this training room, when you walk in this weight room, this is game time. And now we're just going through the motions because guess what? We can only work out so many hours a week. Ain't going to be in the weight room so many days. Now, UVA's trainer, the weight guy, was the best in the country, right?
Unbelievable.
Best in the country, don't get me wrong. But if I'm in there, I need, and he does some of this as well, my mentality back then was I'm playing the game. So when I got to the court, I was physically mentally ready to go. But I tell people all the time, the best player I played with is a couple of Rodney McCray, because we had that friendship going in. We had played against each other. And Rodney would say, basically, if you beat us in the regular season, but we knew we was going to the Final Four. I'm like, okay, whatever, shut up. Kim Olajuwon actually is in that role as well. I was trained and taught when I first got to Houston by Elvin Hayes, Caldwell Jones, Major Jones, Alan Level, Tommy Henderson, and Calvin Murphy. So I had some really good veterans around me my first year that showed me the ropes of the game and the lifestyle, which was great. Elvin Hayes took me one time. He said, let's get away from basketball. I lived in the same neighborhood he did. He said, let me just get you away because you need to get away. He took me to his horse ranch. In his van, we went out there for a day to get away from it. Said, you got to get away from it every now and then. Because he knew I was from Virginia and the farmlands, whatever. So he took me there and had a great day. And the next day I had like 30 points. So he knew that. So I was taught by some of the best, right? So those are the best players I played with. Rodney, and then obviously playing against Kareem and Magic and Bird and all that, obviously played against those guys. But the person I learned the most from was Bill Russell. He came to campus one time when I was here. We interviewed him. He was the manager of the Sacramento Kings. He got me to come there. And then after the fact, we built that relationship over the years. And it's been a couple years ago now. He got in the Hall of Fame twice as a player and a coach. But he drove from Seattle to Boston. That time he got it. And he from Boston to Harrisonburg. I got pictures on my phone still. Stayed with us 2 days. And they driving. And then he went from there to Atlanta, Dominique, Julius, all that, and then back to Palm Springs where he lived. But the stories that he can tell you and the experiences that he had to go through to be Bill Russell, but to play in Boston in that era, just another, are amazing. And so if you're about the GOAT, the best ever, it's got to be Bill Russell to me. And I think Kareem is good, but I also think the people that transitioned the game from back in the day to now is Elgin Baylor, Julius Erving, because everybody wanted to be the doctor. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan wanted to be the doctor. Everybody wanted to dunk like that. So when you played against a doctor, you were scared that you would get dunked on. Then Michael took that, Kobe did it, and LeBron did it. So if you think that's the case, but he gets not enough credit either in my book, but those two or three are the best ever for me.
And Magic Johnson and Charles Barkley both said that you were the first superstar big man.
Big man, yep. That's what
that you could do it all. That you could shoot it like Larry Bird. You could dribble it down, drive the court.
The young generation doesn't realize. Wemby gets a lot of props right now for the Spurs. This man was better than Wemby. This man had more talent than Wemby.
Oh, yeah.
Talent, but we couldn't shoot threes.
Right.
You know, we had to post up. But Wemby's a great player. I hope they'll get to meet him one day soon. He's a 2.0 version of me, and I've kept hearing about this kid. Whatever you see him now, he's long, he's lean, but you know, I tell about all the time. So the NBA is a business; it's not a game. So how did Patrick Ewing go to the Knicks? Perfect fit, right? Mm-hmm. Magic Johnson comes down and goes to the Lakers, perfect fit. Larry Bird goes to Boston, perfect fit. I go to Houston, so it's set up, you know, in some way, shape, or form. And Wemby goes to, I mean, if he went to Detroit, it'd have been ugly, right? Structure not
Good
there.
point. Yeah.
You go to San Antonio, Popovich, that's got all the European players he's had, perfect fit, right? Because he's going to take care of him because the league needs him. And the jersey sales and the business of that is astronomical. But then they built a $500 million training facility in San Antonio. Perfect fit, right? Get him there, get him trained. Then I got Tim Duncan and David Robinson there to help me. So it's a business, and it's a serious business, big-time business. But if he stays healthy, he's going to be a great player.
Questions are coming in for you here. Your thoughts on UVA and the national championship? What went through your mind? What that experience was like for you with the Who's winning a national championship? Brandon Scott asked about Kihei Clark and Mamadi Akite, and do you think their jersey should be retired potentially?
I mean, time will tell about that jersey retirement, but Kihei Clark and Mamadi were great players, obviously here. Ironically, I went to the first set of games, and obviously didn't know you're going to win a national title. But I went with Phil Wendell from ACAC.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good friend of mine. And so, well, let's go to the game. Okay, let's go. Okay, he got tickets. I'll come down, drive down, etc. Alex English was in that city, so I saw him as well, played against him in the NBA. So we go, and we win. And then Phil's like, okay, well, next week, we got to go to the next one. Because, we can't just stop. I mean, we might be the good luck charm. We go to the next one, and we win. So now it's like, okay, we got to go to the next one. So we end up going, we evaluate every week, and then all of a sudden we get to the national title, especially down in Louisville, and it was kind of crazy to watch. But you could feel the excitement build every game, obviously, with the fans. And, we had every piece of the equation was on our side, especially in the game we got fouled. And, I mean, it just was amazing to watch. And you got to have that every now and then. And if you don't, nobody wins the national title not having some luck, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So the field was great, and the best part was winning it, but also walking down the street with Coach Bennett and the team and the fans. And I still get people say, I was in the hotel when they won, and you were in there, and we was packed, and whatever. So the stories after the fact were even still amazing for fans to tell us about or come to the restaurant and talk about. And I told him, I said, we need to do it again, And I think with Coach Bennett, we could, but we got to get this NIL stuff straight and try to figure it out and get a couple players. We got a great team, right now, because Tony can put it together, right? But you may not win a title with the group we have, but you can compete for sure. And if you get luck on the side, you can win if they want to play, if they want to play hard.
What's it, this restaurant you got is fantastic. I've enjoyed many a drink and dinner there. What's it like having kind of a public home base to greet your fans and the folks that love you? I mean, you're there all the time.
Yeah, I used to be there a lot, and a couple of stories there. So when it first opened, I was there almost daily, and especially before the games and after the games. And then they said I was coming too much. You don't want to wear out your welcome, basically. But then I got a couple calls where if one lady said I didn't greet her, because I'll get up and go to the table and just be me and talk.
I've seen you mingle a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the lady said I didn't greet her, so she called back with her lawyer and said, well, he discriminated against me, so, whatever. So it ended up trying to be a lawsuit.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. Then this other guy came in one day and said in the bar and was harassing, before I got there, harassing the wait staff, the bar staff. I said, okay, cool. So I heard it, and I came in a couple days, a week later, and the guy came in again. And so I walked up to him, and as he was harassing him again, so he had created we have this free appetizer card, that's a special card we have, and he had his own that he had printed. And so I walked up to him and said, are you okay? Because he was giving them harassment issues. I said, well, I'll buy you dinner, we'll buy you whatever, what do you need? So he said, they're not accepting him. I said, that's not ours. This is ours, it's yours. So he was a little intoxicated, I guess, but he leaves, and an hour later, this guy called on the phone, well, I'm such and such lawyer, and y'all kicked him out. I said, we didn't kick him out. He'd just been irate in the restaurant, so we asked him to leave. So anyway, that was part of a lawsuit as well.
Jeez.
And then I was in one of our sister restaurants, which was crazy, and it was Matchbox, and this lady walked out and collided with the server, and because she wasn't watching where she was going, and then I get a call that this lady had gone around Charlottesville and done this numbers of times, and then she was in our restaurant trying to do the same thing. So Matchbox got a lawsuit, and it lasted like a year, and she tried to get money, but it's strange that, I mean, you would not think things like that happen in a restaurant, but
Never
they
thought
do.
about it.
They do. So I not tailed down my love of the restaurant. I just don't come every day. But on game days, or I'll sneak in. I won't tell them I'm coming. I'll just show up. Typically, a new one is coming. But it's been really fun. I'm going to do some more unique things in year 2. And yeah, we can do some stuff together over there. I mean, this would be great to have this show in the restaurant, you know, or have people, as they're doing now, to be up on the big screen. We talked about doing a podcast there where we have people call in and ask, the fans ask if it's a Magic Johnson or somebody like that. What about this, what that? So we want to make it more interactive and more fun. So we got some things on the books coming up in year 2 that I think the fans would love.
That's absolutely awesome. We'll get to a couple more questions here, guys. Put Charlottesville in perspective. What the community means to you. I mean, you grew up in a lot of ways here.
It's funny because you know, when you in the bubble, I say, on campus, when you go to school here, you don't really get to see the community. You don't get to reach out to the community as much because you're going to class, you're playing, you're traveling, you know, and then coming back and forth, when you come back to school after you get in the NBA or life and you live in other cities, the same thing. You come back for a game, you go out to a restaurant, you may eat, you may have some friends here still, but you really don't get to feel the city as Charlottesville. Now, being in Harrisonburg, you know, now and then living here for a while, I moved back to Harrisonburg, the farm, taking my dad, stuff like that. But being here, you get to see more of the city. So being on the board of the Boys and Girls Club and helping them do their thing, it's been really, really fun. If you want an organization in Charlotte, it's really great. Boys and Girls Club are one. They helped raise $21 million for their new facility out by Almar High School. So that's a great thing as well. But then really getting the feel of the new fans, the old fans, that's still here. You know, Miss Burke is still here, and I'll go check on her every now and then, or go by her house. So there's people here, and then really the other biggest thing here for me is some of the players like Bobby Stokes and Ricky Stokes that live here, that are part of the fiber of not only University of Virginia but also the community. Bobby's a doctor, and I reflect back on Doc May.
Your doctor, right?
He's my doctor.
Yeah. Great doctor. But Doc May, I guess, was a doctor here, and he took over his practice.
Right.
So a lot of history there. Bobby's great. Bobby's dad's here with them. Phil Winter with AC. I mean, so just really getting to enjoy them from a different level. It's been really, really fun. And hanging out with Ricky and Bobby, they're like brothers. And it's been fun to do that when we can. So the city is really cool. And you get to know it a lot better when you just drive around and explore and go to a place you've never seen.
A couple more here for you. This is one you're going to very much appreciate. This is from Spencer, who's watching outside Nashville. And he says, a statue or some kind of name on the court or an arena should be there for Ralph Sampson. What are your thoughts on that?
My mother has great thoughts on that. So.
She said, let's do it?
No, she said, so my high school in Harrisonburg wanted to do that.
We're on the court?
No, a statue outside the arena or whatever it may be. I don't know where they would put it. And then I guess someone said, well, they're building the new football facility that has a walkway. They want to put statues there. And my mother played basketball in high school and went to Virginia State, played a little bit. And she said, well, a statue is a statue, but the only thing a statue is going to do is that it's going to collect pigeon shit and bird shit, and somebody's got to clean it, right? And so I don't want somebody to poop on your head. Somebody have to clean it.
Your mom is awesome.
And so we talked about it and said, you know, and that's one of the things with the Sampson group that started from the stems of that as well. As long as it means something, and it has a give back theme to it, then it's cool because you didn't do this by yourself. So if it's family or friends, but every player, so that, and her vision is if a statue of you, there's got to be some kids around you as well, because you've been doing with kids for 40 years now in camps and clinics, but also every teammate that you play with or played at UVA. It could be football, but she's really particular about basketball. She'll have a brick or their name or something engraved around that because you didn't do this by yourself. And then what are you giving back to? Scholarship to kids. So she's got her opinion, and she's lively still, and we love her to death, obviously, but I have to kind of honor her wishes at that point in time. So if they want to do something like that, it can be done, but it's got to have a significant meaning around it.
Right. That's well spoken.
Yeah.
Well said.
That's well said. Last one for you here. How does Ralph Sampson enjoy an evening in the Charlottesville area when he can do whatever he wants?
Wow. If I can rest, I would be all right, but I don't have that mentality. My mom walks 5 miles a day, gets
Wow.
up at 6:30.
How old is she? Can I ask?
She's 85.
Wow.
Great health, doing her thing, and great shape. Saw the other day. Works out 3 times a week, weights, works out, eats 3 meals a day on a regular time basis. Doctor says she's 65 years old. She's in great shape. My dad passed, got a little bit down, but she bounced back tremendously, which we didn't know what would happen. But she is really, really good. And we're blessed to have a mom like that. She's special for us, I'm sure a lot of people. So just that alone and the legacy Sampson Group and what she means is obviously very important in what we do.
That's fantastic.
So it's a good thing.
This has been an amazing interview. You're fantastic. You're so good in this setting.
It's fun. I mean, Jerry's easy, and meeting you now is great, so we'll do it again one of these days. But go Hoos, let's get a win in the ACC tournament come Thursday and play, I guess, Notre Dame is who we play.
Well, we play, they play, Boston College, Miami play, and then the winner of that game plays Clemson.
Okay,
And then Virginia plays the winner of that game.
Gotcha.
They got the double bye.
You got the double bye.
Double bye.
Thursday at 9:30.
Which is incredible.
I get ready to say
Something to think about.
you get it exactly. So all the fans out there that don't like the style, but you still get a double bye in the ACC
I know.
tournament.
Amen.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't think this team would make the NCAA tournament at all. So they still have a chance to do that.
I mean, this team had what? It was 3 players returning from last year that had significant minutes. Dunn, Beekman, and McNeely.
Yeah.
And Coach Bennett's got the team 3rd in the regular season. And he's still getting shade from people. I just don't understand it.
I don't either.
Well, you know, again, it's significant how good a coach he is and how good his system is, with the NCAA rules being what they are.
Right. He's got a brand new team.
But, you know, his defense is tough.
Yeah.
And you have to respect that. So you get there and you get on. He got on a little roll, a little win. You know, 8 games or so, whatever. Got him back in the hunt. Went from top 25 to out of the top 25 to back in the top 25. That's hard to do. That's hard to do.
Very well said.
Especially with a rebuilt roster.
It's hard to do. It's hard, as you know. You've seen a lot, so it's hard to do. But he's a great coach.
You'll appreciate this. His 50th straight ACC tournament
Oh,
this
wow.
week. 50 straight.
We got to celebrate.
I know.
You
Cold
gonna be there?
beers.
You going up there Thursday or you going?
Thursday.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
50 straight. Ralph Sampson, guys. So many folks are asking where the interview is archived. It's archived wherever you get your social media, wherever you get your podcast. It's archived on JerryRatcliffe.com. JerryRatcliffe.com. He is amazing. He set up this interview, Hootie.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the highlights of my career has been not just covering Ralph, but getting to know him after he was done, because he's such a great guy and loves the communities that he's been associated with and does give back. And you don't always find that with people, particularly who have reached the heights of his success.
Stardom.
And so the fact that he's the man that he is makes me proud to know him, and that
We go way back.
we go way back. We go way back.
But we had fun. We had fun, and guys like you and Doug Dowdy and Todd Turner to Doug Elgin. So guys are very special, and there's some good time. Then I don't know if you remember us throwing Doug Dowdy in the pool.
I do remember that down in Birmingham.
Down in Birmingham. So he remembers it too. So I saw him at the game the other night. So it's fun. I mean, he remembers that. So that friendship is built, and it's really special for me.
Doug Dowdy, guys, the longtime Virginia beat writer for the Roanoke Times and a friend of Hootie's here. Doug Dowdy's going to love that reference.
Yes.
He's going to love that reference. All right, that's the show. It's the Jerry and Jerry Show. Check it out on JerryRatcliffe.com or wherever you get your podcasting or social media content. 21 states, Hootie, on today's program.
Perfect.
Awesome.
21 states.
We thank the viewers for tuning in every week. We appreciate
Can
it.
Jerry will have a recap maybe on the ACC tournament or something. I don't know, but it's coming up, and go Hoos. Like I said, good luck, and Jerry will keep you updated, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Check out the Sampson Group online, TSG50. CVille.com. Judah Wickower is the director and producer of this talk show. Judah, Mr. Consistency.
He's our MVP.
The MVP behind the scenes. Hootie's dubbed him Mr. Consistency. Thank you kindly for joining us on the talk show, guys. The I Love CVille show is up in 59 minutes. So long, everybody. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome.
Good.
He's going to tell us.